Today I'm going to give you a list of my favorite exercises for every muscle group that have got me the most gains and got me photo shoot lean twice. We are going to go from all of the muscle groups, right from our chest, abs, legs, calves, delts, arms, everything. So by the end of this episode, you will have a complete list of the exercises that are my favorite and could give you the most gains. So stay tuned till the end. As always, Vinay here, lecturer of exercise science, a body transformation and a performance coach, and here to make your transformation and performance journey easier, faster, and enjoyable. And in today's episode, we are going to discuss all about exercise. I am going to give you a list of top 3 exercises for every muscle groups that have given me the most gains and are my favorite. So without further ado, let's go straight into today's topic. Let's start off with the muscle group that is the most underrated and majority of people struggle to grow this, and that is the calves. The calves are the lowermost muscles, but they are the most important muscle when it comes to performance, when it comes to power production, and when it comes to aesthetics, especially about legs, especially when you want to have that confidence to go out in shorts and all of those things. You need better and bigger calves, my friend. Okay, so calves, easy, simple muscle groups. There are not a lot of variations to this, just two simple variations, and these are the variations that will give you the majority of gains. Number one is the standing calf raises that you could do while standing. You could start off body weight as well, as simple as that. Just stand on your staircase, keep your toes onto the staircase, just let the heel go down, get a good stretch in your calves, and then push yourself up. Go up as much as you could till the point you get maximum squeeze in your calves, and that's the exercise. Repeat this exercise 15-20 times, as many reps as you want. Then you could increase the load to this by adding a dumbbell, doing it on a squat machine, doing it on a Smith machine, or whichever way you would like to add in weight to this exercise is absolutely perfect. You can also do this on a leg press machine. Just sit on the leg press machine just like you're doing a leg press. Just keep your toes on the pad and heels would not be on the pads, and just try to push the leg press machine on top, get a good stretch, push it, get a good stretch, and that will do the same work as well. In our calves, there are two muscles, gastrocnemius and the soleus muscle. Gastrocnemius muscle is a biarticulate muscle. That means it crosses two joints, the knee and the ankle joint. So all of the exercises where the knee would be straight would be targeting majorly our gastrocnemius as well as our soleus muscle. But when we bend our knee, just like when we do the seated calf raises, there are very simpler machines. But if you don't have a machine, you could always sit on a bench, put a step up board in front of you, put your legs on the step up board, put two dumbbells on each leg, and just let the heels go down, push it up, let the heels go down, push it up. This variation will majorly train the soleus muscle. Soleus muscle is also absolutely important. So never underestimate the seated calf raises, especially if you are an athlete or if you want to have bigger looking calves. Okay, just these three exercises: standing calf raises on the leg press. This is also called as calf press. So these two exercises will train both your gastrocnemius as well as your soleus muscle. But the seated calf raises will target majorly our soleus muscle. So these are my top 3 exercises if you want to grow your calves. Then we talk about one simple muscle, but this is the one that majorly gets under noticed, and a lot of people feel pain here when they go out for a run, when they go out and play just out of nowhere. Shin splints. Have you heard the word shin splints? When we have the pain in front of our leg, below our knee, that is just opposite our calves, the front side of the calves, front side of the legs basically, there is a small muscle over there called as anterior tibialis or tibialis anterior. Okay, these are the muscles that we never train, and when we never train, but they get used when we are running, when we are playing, when we are doing jumping activities and all of the running kind of stuff, all of the outdoor activities basically. This muscle gets used, and when it is not trained, it does not have that capacity and it gets used a lot. The next day everybody is in pains, and this pain is called as shin splints. So that's why it is important to train this muscle as well, especially if you are an athlete and especially if you want to avoid the shin splints. Okay, there is a specific machine for this called as toe raises, where just like seated calf raises, we have a support on one side and the other side is unsupported where we have the weight. So here our heels are supported and the toes aren't. So we have to pull the toes up. The weight is on the toes. We have to pull it up, let it go down, feel a stretch, pull it up. So there is a specific machine. If you don't have a machine in your gym, you can simply do is just lean against the wall, keep your legs like 15 degrees away from you, and just raise your toes up, let it go down, raise your toes up. This is a body weight version which is easier, simpler to execute. If you are a beginner, this would work, but if you are an advanced person, this won't actually give you the most bang for the buck. And here, even if you are not a beginner, if you don't have a machine, you can simply go on the cable machine, put anything that would raise your leg a little extra. That could be a simple step up board, and just put your calves on the step up board, attach what we could say D handle on the cable machine, put it on your toes and just pull it back, let it get a good stretch, pull it back, get a good stretch, pull it back. That will train your anterior tibialis muscle, and you will avoid all of the shin splints and all of the things related to running and athletic pains after going out to play after a very, very long time. Going next is the bigger muscle groups. Now we are talking about the quadricep muscle. The quadricep muscle, the biggest, the most showcase muscle when we talk about physique, when we talk about performance, when we talk about strength. Quadricep muscles are the front muscles of the thigh. These are one of the biggest muscle in our body. They look very crazy. They are important if you want to avoid knee pains, if you want to avoid hip pain, if you want to have a good posture. Very important to train. They look very, very good, and if they are not trained well, they are not developed, the body does not look very much symmetric. Okay, so quadriceps, there are tons of exercise, my friend, tons of exercise for quadriceps, but these three are my favorite. Number one is leg extensions. Again, just like we talked about gastrocnemius muscle, the quadricep muscle, there are four heads in the quadricep muscle, and one of the head is biarticulate. That means it crosses two joints, the knee joint and the hip joint, and this muscle is called as the rectus femoris. Rectus femoris muscle crosses both of the joints, and that is why when we want to train the biggest muscle or the largest muscle in the quadricep group, it is very, very important to train it with one end moving and the other end being constant. Okay, so leg extension will train all of the four heads. There are four muscles in our quadricep group, and they are rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus intermedius, and vastus medialis. So all of these four aren't biarticulate muscle, just the rectus femoris is biarticulate, and all of the other three are uniarticulate muscles. So to train uniarticulate muscles, we have a lot of squat movement patterns. Any squat movement pattern would train the quadricep very well, but only leg extensions would train the rectus femoris absolutely well, with the remaining three as well. So leg extension is something that should not be away from your workout program. So leg extension is the best one if you want to train your quadriceps. Then after leg extension, these two are amazing compound movements for the strength as well as hypertrophy of your leg, and that is not the barbell back squat or barbell front squat. First one is the pendulum squats. This is a machine, there's a specific machine for this, and it trains the quadricep, just the squat movement pattern, but this is more of a quad biased squats. Okay, you can also go and train on a hack squat. You can also go and train on a normal simple squat machine, or any squat machine would be amazing. Apart from that, last one, leg press, my friend. Leg press is again amazing. All of the exercises that are more stable, stability gives us more ability, basically, my friend. So it gives us more ability to push more load, it gives us more ability to increase workout volume, it gives us more ability to put up more stimulus and reduce the fatigue. Okay, a leg press is not as fatiguing as a barbell back squat, it is not fatiguing as a barbell front squat, but it is equally, if not more, stimulating than the barbell lifts. So that's why I have placed leg press here over all of the other squat variants. I have also placed machine squats here over all of the other barbell squats and goblet squats and all of those variants. Because again, stable exercises, our quadriceps will do majority of the work. They will get more stimulus with lesser fatigue. That's why these are the three muscle groups that are these are the three exercises, my friend, that will give you the most bang for the buck when we talk about strength and hypertrophy of the quadricep group. If you want to add in any other squat variation, you're free to. They are amazing exercises as well. But what I do personally is I plan out. Now my photo shoot prep is done, all of the physique shoots and everything is done. Now I am in an off season kind of a phase where I am working on developing all of the weaker muscle groups. So now I'm focusing more on the strength and power phase. I'm focusing more on getting the weaker muscle groups to hypertrophy. So the workout is planned according to phases. Now I'm working more on strength and power. So now I have planned barbell back squats, I have planned squat jumps, I have planned conventional deadlifts and all of these exercises. But these exercises were not part of my routine for last 6 to 8 months, because that wasn't the point. When I was focusing on strength, I was focusing on power for most part. I was focusing on hypertrophy, I was focusing on giving more stimulus to the muscle and reducing as much fatigue as I could. So that is how we need to program our workouts. Okay, we need to have a nice goal and we need to know which exercise. No exercise is bad, my friend, but there are some better exercises for specific goals in specific phases. So that is the most important part to understand before we talk about exercises, which is better, which is not. We need to understand why this is better and why this is not a better exercise in this phase for this goal. Okay, that was about quadriceps. Then let's talk about hamstrings, my friend. Hamstrings are very overlooked muscle, and weak hamstrings are majority of times a reason behind weak knees or knee pain or everything. Okay, you know how the bro split works, or how the typical guru or typical like 25-30-year-old experienced 25-30 years of experience personal trainer, old person, like how they would program a leg day. They would do squats, they would do leg press, they would do lunges, then they would do leg curls, and then they will do calf raises, and they would go home. Okay, so here we are going for 3 exercises for quadriceps, just 1 exercises for hamstrings, 1 exercise for our calves. That's it. That is very imbalanced workout program, my friend. Quadriceps are getting too much of a stimulus, and hamstrings and calves are not getting a lot of stimulus, while our glutes are also understimulated. Okay, so there should be a good strength and hypertrophy balance between the quadricep and the hamstring muscle, so that our knee joint would stay pain free and we would avoid any kind of a injury to our knees. Okay, the balance between both of these, they are called as agonist and antagonist muscle groups. The working muscle group is called as agonist. The non-working or the opposite to the working muscle group is called as antagonist. Okay, the strength should be balanced between both of these muscle groups. The strength ratio for quadricep is like 3:2. So 3 times the strength of quadricep, twice should be the strength of hamstring as well. That would be very, very beneficial and would change the game. Okay, so hamstring, 3 best exercises for hamstring. Number 1, leg curls. Just like we talked about the muscle groups in the quadricep muscle, hamstring is also a biarticulate muscle overall. There is just one head in the hamstring group, that is uniarticulate. So semimembranosus, semitendinosus, bicep femoris. Bicep femoris has got a long head. It has also got a short head. Short head of bicep femoris is the uniarticulate muscle. It only crosses knee joint, but all of the remaining muscles crosses 2 joints. That is our knee joint and the hip joint. Okay, so just like we talked about training rectus femoris, same goes with training hamstrings as well. If we want to train the entire hamstring, all of the biarticulate muscle groups, we need to keep one end constant and the other end moving. So here the best exercise for hamstring, and if you are only able to do one exercise and if you do this, it would be taking care of everything. That would be leg curls, and specifically seated leg curls. Seated leg curl, keep the other end, the hip end of the hamstring stretched lengthened, we could say, and the other end of the hamstring that is on the knee side, that end just moves, and this would take care and hit all of the heads of your hamstring very, very well, while giving a lot of stimulus without giving a lot of fatigue. So seated calf raises is number one exercise when we talk about training hamstrings. Okay. Exercise number 2, stiff leg deadlifts. Of course, stiff leg deadlift is one of the best compound exercise to train your hamstrings, and there is no other challenger that could beat stiff leg deadlift when we talk about compound exercises to train your hamstrings. Last but not the least, Romanian deadlifts are also amazing exercise to train your hamstrings for strength, power, and hypertrophy. Also, eccentric strengthening is one part that the RDLs train our hamstring in, and that is amazing if you are an athlete, if you are a runner, if you play any sport, or if you just want a good hip mobility, you want good hamstring mobility, you want good strength in your hamstring. Romanian deadlift is always great. There is always an exercise called as Nordic curls. Nordic curls is also an amazing exercise specifically for athletes, but it is slightly difficult to, what we could say, to set up and to execute. It requires a lot of strength. It requires a lot of practice. So if we don't have the infrastructure, if we don't have people alongside us to help us with the setup and everything, it gets very difficult to even do this exercise in the first place. So that's why I haven't placed Nordic curls in my top 3. But even without Nordic curls, if you just do these 3 well, your hamstring would be strengthened. You will have a nice big stronger hamstrings. Okay, that was about the hamstring. Then we talk about glutes. When we talk about glutes, my friend, glutes are the biggest muscle groups in our body. Okay, according to the volume, if we consider, glutes are also very pleasing when it comes to aesthetics. We could not disagree to this point, but they are equally important for athletic performance, my friend. Glutes could produce the most power when it comes to athletic performance, when it comes to running, when it comes to jumping, when it comes to avoiding any lower back pain, any hip pain, any knee pain. Majority of the time, weak glutes is a major reason behind knee pain, hip pain, lower back pain. Majority of the time, we guys are just sitting like this. A lot of sedentary people out there having improper posture, they have very weak glutes, and that is the major problem, which also could be a root cause for lower back pain and knee pain. Also a root cause behind lower athletic performance and inability to produce power. So training your glutes should be an absolute priority, my friend, not just from the aesthetic point of view, but also for athletic point of view, also for pain management, also if you want to look great. Okay, let's talk about top 3 exercises for glutes. Number 1 exercise for glutes is hip thrust. Fantastic exercise. Now recently there has been a research that has come up that has compared hip thrust to barbell squats for development of glutes. Both of the exercises placed equally well, but why I placed hip thrust before squats is because of the stimulus to fatigue ratio, my friend. Stimulus to fatigue ratio, you will barely get fatigued when you do a hip thrust. You could take up a lot of load and you could do hip thrust very well without going through any fatigue. But squats is, again, it will load your spine, it will load your entire body. It is an axial loading exercise, it is a structural movement, it will take up a lot of nervous system would get involved, and you would get a lot of fatigue as well when we do a squat. Okay, but when we do a hip thrust, the fatigue would be a lot less and the glutes will get a lot more stimulus. So that's why I placed hip thrust as the top priority. After that, there is a second exercise that would be all of the unilateral squat and hinge variations. All of the unilateral squat and hinge variation means we have got Bulgarian split squat, we have got walking lunges, we have got step ups, we have got split squats. All of these variations also trains the glutes very, very well. There are again 3 muscles in the glute: gluteal maximus, gluteus medius, gluteus minimus. The two medius and minimus are the ones that are majorly responsible for stability of the glutes and the external internal rotations, but gluteus maximus is majorly responsible for power production and the shape of the glutes. Okay, so that is why all of the thrusting variations would train gluteus maximus because not a lot of stability is required here. But when we talk about all of the unilateral variations here, gluteus maximus along with medius and minimus are also getting involved, and they will get a lot of stimulus as well. So this was the second one, and the third exercise is again hip extension exercises. Unilateral hip extension exercises, just go to the cable machine, put the cable handle into your ankles, and you just have to push your hip back. The leg would be straight from your knees and your ankles, knees and your hips straight, leg, and you just push it back, not exactly back, not exactly at the side. You would be pushing it back in the 45 degrees. 45 degrees would involve your gluteus maximus as well as gluteus medius as well. So that would be the amazing exercise for isolating your glutes, especially your gluteus maximus as well as your gluteus medius. This is the exercise that will give a lot of stimulus without causing a lot of fatigue. Very easy exercise, easy to set up, easy to connect, and very good for the growth of gluteus maximus or the overall gluteal group, we could say. So we are done with the lower body, my friend. That if you just do these exercises, the three that I am doing, that I am giving into, place it nicely throughout the week, you would be getting amazing gains and amazing growth in your glutes. Okay, amazing growth in your lower body, my friend, not just your glutes. Okay, then we come to the midsection. We talk about the core now. Core is not just one single muscle, my friend. In our core, there are multiple muscle groups. Now, if we talk about a core, is everything that connects our rib section to our pelvic. Okay, now into our rib section to our pelvic, there are no bones. We just have the spine, but spine is not a single bone. It is made up of small discs placed one over the other, and there are multiple muscle groups, just like the WWE belt. The WWE guys, they wear a belt around their belly region. Just like that, God has already given us a belt, and that belt is specifically called as the core muscles. So this belt is not made up of one single muscle. There are multiple muscle groups in here. If we talk about the front side, then we have got the rectus abdominis. Rectus abdominis are all of the muscles that are the six-pack muscle. It originates from the pelvic and inserts into our rib section, and they are the muscles that give us the blocky six-pack ab kind of a look. Then beneath that, we have transverse abdominis. Transverse abdominis is just like the WWE belt. Okay, it is exactly a belt which is circular around our organs, but this is inside all of the muscle. So this is not a superficial muscle, means we cannot see this muscle with our eyes even if we are so lean. Okay, so this is the most innermost portion or innermost muscle in our body around the midsection, around the core region. Okay, that is called as transverse abdominis. Then there are two more muscle groups called as internal obliques and external obliques, that goes in from the side to the pelvic like this, and that gives us that V kind of a look and gives us a nice slim and thin waist kind of a look. So they are called as internal and external obliques. Okay, they are responsible for rotating our body sideways and all of these movements, a little bit of a lateral flexion as well, but majorly the rotation of the torso. Okay, then when we go towards the back of the region, there is quadratus lumborum. Quadratus lumborum is like a triangular shaped muscle like this. Between there is a spine, triangular shaped muscle like this. Fibers are placed like this. So whenever the quadratus lumborum muscle contracts, the body moves sideways. This is called as lateral flexion of the spine. So to cause lateral flexion, quadratus lumborum are the muscles that are primarily responsible. So that's why all of the people who think that they will take weights in their hands and do all of the dumbbell side bends and kettlebell side bends, and they think that their belly fat will go, their belly fat is not getting affected by this exercise. Rather, they are training their quadratus lumborum, and if they are taking weights in both of their hands, then weight in one hand is basically nullifying the weights in the other hand, and that is not causing anything at all. They are just wasting a lot of their time in the gym. Okay, that is about the quadratus lumborum muscle. There are a lot of erector spinae muscle and multifidus muscle, a lot of muscle that would hold the spine together because they are made up of small discs. So they will hold all of the discs together, and there are again a lot of muscles along with this that will help us to extend our spine and to hold all of the discs together. a lot of muscles in there, my friend. Okay, a lot of those are non-superficial, so that's why we don't talk about them, because we cannot directly train them. They get trained when we are doing any hinge movement patterns, when we are doing any structural exercises, when we are playing, when we are doing anything that is involving the core. All of these muscle groups will directly be involved. Even when we are bracing, breathing the core, breathing and bracing the core correctly while doing all of the heavy exercises, all of these core muscles are also trained to brace tightly and to stay stiff during all of these lifts. So these are all of the muscles of the core. But majorly, if we talk about training these, we train the rectus abdominis. Okay, we need to train the rectus abdominis. Okay, there are two parties again. There are people who think that they should do like 100 crunches and they would get the abs, and then there is the other party of people who think that abs are made in kitchen, so you don't need to train abs, just diet down very well and the abs would get revealed. Both of the things have a little bit truth, but a little bit myth as well. Okay, so the fact is, abs are just like other muscle groups of our body. Okay, now we all have biceps, we all have chest muscles, we all have back muscles, but they don't look bigger if we don't train them. Okay, now my bicep would look bigger, they will get bigger only if I train them. Okay, and if I lose a lot of body fat, the bicep would be much more visible, the bicep would be looking a lot of fibers in there, veins in there, and all of those things would be very visible. But if I don't train them and I just lose a lot of body fat, I would still be able to see my bicep, but the bicep muscle would be a lot smaller because the muscle hasn't grown, the muscle hasn't hypertrophied. Okay, so that is why what is the true saying, or what should be the true saying, is abs are built in the gym and revealed in the kitchen. Okay, so we need to train abs just like all of the other muscle groups of our body, so that their strength increases, their hypertrophy increases, they grow in size, and diet also plays a role to reveal those abs. Because what happens is, our body, we have a layer of muscles, and on top of it we have a layer of fat, on top of it we have a layer of skin. Okay, that is how the arrangement is. Okay, so no matter how big of an ab muscle you have, but if you have a big layer of fat also on top of it, you won't be able to see the muscle that are within or that are beneath the fat. Okay, so that's why we need to cut out on the fat as well to reveal the muscles that are inside. Okay, so we need to pay attention to our diet as well as train our abs. Okay, so abs are made or built in the gym while they are revealed in the kitchen. That is the correct saying. So to train our abs, we'll talk about the rectus abdominis. Simple exercise, cable crunches, very good exercise, easy to overload, easy to set up, very stable exercise. Again, with stability comes more ability. So just sit near your cable machine with the barbell or the pole of the cable at your back, so your hips are rested on it and your body is stable. Okay, what we just have to do is just torso flexion. That's it. What we have to do is grab the cable. I tend to pull it near my arms, keep the elbows in so that I don't pull the cable with my arms. I just keep it stable over here and I just breathe out and just squeeze my abs. There's a torso flexion. The major function of the abs is torso flexion, along with maintaining good stability of the core. Okay, this exercise very easy to overload, a lot of stability in there, very easy to execute, and the machine is available everywhere. This is my top favorite exercise for training the abs. Okay, apart from this, second exercise would train the abs as well, but from the lower proximity. Okay, so there are a little bit of a research in here, but still we don't have a lot of idea about this, that lower abs and the upper abs would get developed differently if we do the crunches and the leg raises, or they are just a part of one single muscle group. So even if we do one exercise, whether it would be crunches or whether it would be leg raises, the entire abs would get developed. So there has been a mixed research, but you cannot go wrong if you do both of the exercise. If you also do the crunches, if you also do the leg raises, and if you also pay attention to your nutrition, there is no way that you could go wrong. Okay, but even if you think that you just do the crunches well apart and not do the leg raises, that is still fine, not a big problem. But I try to include one exercise for the upper, what we could say, where the movement is taking place from the upper side of the core, and the other one where the movement is taking place from the lower side of the core. So the second exercise I would include here would be hanging knee raises, not the leg raises, my friend, because from 0 to 90 degree, a lot of hip flexors are also muscle group that I just skipped, because not very major muscle group get trained with a lot of exercises. So that's why I don't train them specifically. But if you are a runner, if you are a sprinting athlete, if you want to increase your sprint speed and everything, hip flexor muscles are something that you need to consciously pay attention to. But they definitely get trained a lot, so I don't specifically train hip flexor muscle, and also they are non-superficial, so they won't be looking that great even if they are very much developed. So I don't train them specifically. But when we do the knee raises, what we have to do is hold the knees at 90 degrees, hang on the, what you could say, the pull or the pull-up bar, hang in there and take the knees to 90 degrees, and from 90 degrees to try to pull your knees up towards your triceps. So try to touch the knees to your tricep, pull it down, bring it down towards 90 degrees or slightly below that, and again pull it up. This would train the abs amazingly well as well. But if you go from 90 degrees to 0 degrees, the leg would entirely go down. Here a lot of involvement for hip flexor also comes into picture. If you want to also train your hip flexors, want to improve the overall strength of the hip flexing muscle groups, as abdominals are also, rectus abdominis are also hip flexing muscle groups, so both of them will get trained. It is slightly difficult exercise than the knee raises, but then again more benefit as well, but not more benefit for just the abs. If you want just the abs, 90 degrees, pull it up, 90 degrees, pull it up. If you want to strengthen the entire hip flexor muscle groups with your hip flexor, specifically the psoas major, psoas minor, all of those muscle groups along with rectus abdominis, go for the go for the leg raises from 0 to up as much as you could. Without, here one thing is, this exercise is not very stable, my friend. A lot of time people just swing here and there, so they are not actually maintaining a strong time under tension for specifically their abs. And this swing is just creating a lot of momentum, and people are just swinging and taking the leg up, which does not place a lot of, what we could say, stimulus on the abs. So we have to stay as stable as we could, do the movement as slow as possible, connect our mind with the muscles as much as we could, feel the stretch as much as we can, feel the contraction as much as we can, and keep the movement slow and stable as much as we could. So these are two exercises for rectus abdominis specifically. One exercise also for the obliques, very simple, wood chopper. This exercise would take care of your oblique region as well. You don't need to do the side bends and a lot of all of the other exercises if you do these exercises, these three. Wood chopper, very simple. Go into a half kneeling position. Half kneeling means one knee on the floor, one knee bent at 90 degrees, and you're sitting on the floor. Grab the cables like this and pull it down like this. Simple exercise. You would get a very simple representation of this exercise on our fitness engineered app if you are our client, because the app is generally currently client exclusive app. So you would get an amazing exercise video of all of the exercises that I'm just mentioning, with all the point to point, or we could say step-by-step execution of every exercise and what to do, what not to do. I specifically took my photographer, I got his camera ready, I got him ready, I talked with a friend of mine who is a manager at a gym. We booked that gym, we went to that gym, we recorded all of the exercises, video libraries, from front view, from side view, we got them edited, that this is step 1, this is how to grab the bar, this is where to grab the bar, this is how to do the movement, this is where the elbows would go, this is where the wrist would go, how the torso would be, and what are the things that we need to avoid swinging, avoid raising your elbows. Very detailed, amazing exercise video library for all of our clients. So even if you are a beginner, you would never face problem with exercise execution if you are working with us. Okay, a little humble brag, but worth the brag, my friend. We have put in a lot of efforts on creating that exercise video library. But apart from that, talking about the wood chopper exercises, these are the only 3 exercises that you need to train the core region, or we could say the abs region, that are the most visible or most superficial muscle groups that we should train, and that would give you that great lean toned look for your core if you have lost a lot, or we could say if you are close to like single digit body fat, even on 12-11% body fat, you would be able to see your abs very, very well. Okay, going up from there, now we are talking about all of the showcase muscle groups. Now is the time when majorly the muscle groups we would talk about never get underlooked, never get overlooked. They are always overtrained. Upper body, I haven't faced any person so far leaving the females whose upper body is undertrained. Okay, so very difficult to keep the upper body undertrained, but these are the most optimal exercises that you should specifically include in your workout plans, my friend, because this will give you most bang for the buck and faster gains. Okay, we'll talk about chest first. Chest, again, we know chest, pectoralis major muscle groups, two heads or fibers, we could say. Clavicular head, going, that also is like a top shelf of the muscles. Okay, clavicular head, sternocostal head. Sternocostal head would also be called as like a coastal head here, sternal head, coastal head, lower, mid, and upper chest. But just to, if we want to simplify this, just focus on two: the clavicular head and the sternocostal head. That's it, upper chest and the rest of it. Okay, if we want to train the chest most effectively, my favorite exercise is incline machine press. Very simple exercise, very easy to execute. A lot of gyms have this equipment in their gyms. Do it. If the machine is converging, that is the best machine that you could work around with. Okay, with a grip a little what we could say midways, not exactly prone grip, not exactly hammer grip, but midways, 45 degrees, and converging machine would give you the most bang for the buck when we talk about incline machine press. The favorite, the best. Second one, pec deck fly. As we all have seen people doing this exercise, there is a specific machine for this. Pec deck fly, very simple, very nice, very easy, very effective exercise for the chest. Number three is the dumbbell flat bench press. Great for strength, great for shoulder stability, great for increasing shoulder mobility as well. Amazing exercise for overall strength and hypertrophy. Okay, apart from this, there are a lot of barbell movements. You could do all of these exercises over machines. You could do all of these exercises with dumbbells. You could do the dumbbell flies as well. You could do flat bench press with dumbbell, incline press with dumbbell, decline press with dumbbell. Same thing with machine, incline, flat, decline. Same things with barbell, incline, flat, decline. When should you use a barbell? If the goal is just powerlifting, if the goal is just sheer strength, go for barbell lifts. If the goal is to improve stability as well, if the goal is to have maximum hypertrophy, choose machines. If you want a stable version of it, go for dumbbells. Dumbbells will also help with stability, dumbbells will also help with mobility, dumbbells will also increase the range of motion slightly more than the barbell lift. So that's where dumbbells are better, but you would be able to overload more on the dumbbell because range of motion decreases and very straight movement pattern. A lot of stability is not required there. Okay, so that's where all of these three, but my favorite, incline machine press, pec deck flies, and then dumbbell chest press. Okay, there are a lot of variations that we could do on the cable machine as well, but they are very difficult to overload after a point. Then the stability becomes a big of an issue, so I don't do majority of exercises there. But if you have a good stable back support, if you could put in a bench there and do all of the exercises, even the cable exercises with the bench, if the stability is taken care of, are amazing as well. Apart from that, talking about the back now. Back, majority of the times, is not a very visible muscle. Just like our arms, just like our chest, it is not very visible. We need nicely set up mirrors to watch our back, and if it is not visible to our eyes, it is getting not getting that much of an attention. But back is also one of the very, very important muscle group which we need to train if we want to keep our posture tight and straight. A lot of time you would see sedentary individuals have rounded shoulders like this, they have a rounded spine, shoulders have collapsed forward. That is a lot of time because they haven't trained their back really well, especially the upper back, especially the rhomboids, traps, all of those muscle groups, very important. Okay, now back is not a single muscle group, my friend. Back is a muscle group with a lot of chota chota, small muscles. Okay, so we would, to simplify it further, we would divide the back into two. One would be the upper back. That upper back would be making up your triceps, so sorry, not the triceps, the traps, the rhomboids, the teres major, teres minor, rear deltoid. All of those muscles would be forming the upper back muscles. And then we would be talking about lats. Lats is the latissimus dorsi, the wings wala region of the back specifically. So we would be talking about those. So to divide exercises here, there are a lot of exercises, different angle, different machines could change the bias or change the emphasis that a specific muscle gets. And a lot of, we could go into a lot of details here, but to give you my three favorite exercises for the back to get a complete development of the back, one exercise would be a rowing variation, my friend. Rowing variation. Now rowing, it could be dumbbell rows, it could be one arm rows, it could be seated machine rows, it could be T-bar rows, any rowing variation where we are pulling the weights like this. The more stable the chest would be, the more stable the body would be, the more ability we would have, and the more weight we could lift. That would be an amazing add-on always. Okay, here what majorly differs or makes an exercise different, makes the bias of the muscle or the utilization of muscle different, is the elbow positioning. Now we could pull the weights like this. So sorry for the bubbles that are coming in. But yeah, the reaction tap is still on. I think I'll have to turn it off. But yes, the elbow is going closer to the body, or how far the elbow is from the body. We could pull the weight like this, we could pull it here, we could pull it here, we could pull it here. Okay, this would change the emphasis, or this would change the involvement of the muscle that are involved in doing this exercise. So the more closer the elbow would be from our body, the more lats would be involved. The more farther the elbow would be from our body, more upper back muscles would be involved. Okay, so this is one variation. So now rowing, if suppose you add in a variation of rowing where the elbows are at 30 degrees or 20, 15, this is 0 degree, 15 degrees, 45, 45, 30 to 45. So 30 to 45 degrees of elbows, that would be the best. If you want to train the upper back, that would be the most optimal one. If it goes below that, it would train majorly our latissimus dorsi. So plan out one exercise for your upper back, plan out one exercise for your lats, and plan out one exercise specifically for your traps, because the upper traps are slightly different and the line of pull should be slightly different. So this is how I paired the three exercises. One, rowing variation, make sure that it is targeting the upper back specifically. Then second variation is the lat pull variation. Now here we could talk about lat pull downs, we could talk about the lat pull downs with slightly leaned back posture, we could talk about neutral grip lat pull down, we could talk about neutral grip pull-ups, we could talk about pull-ups as a different exercise, we could talk about chin-ups as a different exercise. Then again we could talk unilateral lat pulls, single arm lat pulls, and everything. All of these exercises would specifically, or what we could say, majorly target our lats, as our elbows are majorly going close towards our body. Okay, when we talk about the lat pull down, specifically slightly wider grip and we are leaned back a little bit, it is training majorly our upper back. So apart from this, all of the other variants would be lat focused exercises. So go for one lat focused exercise, go for one upper back focused exercise, and the third one would be shrugs. Very important, very amazing exercise, easy to do, a lot of weight we could lift, very visible muscle group. The traps, upper traps are this muscle groups, very important, looks very cool. Okay, so how to do the shrugs to get the most bang for the buck is go for cable shrugs. Okay, go on to the cable machine, but here you need a specific cable machine where both of the cables would come as close as possible. Slightly wider, the arms would be not very close to the body, slightly 30 degrees apart, and the arms would be slightly front. So we would be raising the shoulders up and slightly back, not just the dumbbell shrugs, but slightly the cables would be forward, arms would be forward, and we would pull the shoulders up and back slightly. This would give the most stimulus to the trap muscle, because traps are not just traveling from above, they are also traveling this way, they are also traveling like down below towards the spine. Okay, so this variation works wonders. And one more thing that you could add in is add in a bench in there. Make sure the bench is at a 60-degree angle, chest on the bench, arms down, and then if you do that, your traps are gonna be on fire. You would be having amazing traps. Okay, shrug variation, upper back variation, one is lat biased variation for the back, and this will take care of it. Okay, then majority of the people also do deadlift variation on their back day. Does deadlift work on their back? Not actually. Deadlift, Romanian deadlift, even the stiff leg deadlift, even we talk about the conventional deadlift, the prime mover is our glutes and our hamstring, and the upper back is just getting stressed isometrically. Okay, they are not moving concentrically, eccentrically, isotonically, they are just getting tension isometrically, so that won't be the best exercise to train our back muscle groups. Okay, so avoid doing deadlifts on the back days, do it on the lower body days. That would be the best option. Okay, so that was all about back. Now we are left with delts, we are left with biceps and triceps as well, my friend. For the delts, you need just one exercise. To be honest, I just do the lateral raises on the cable machine, and that takes care of the shoulders, because I do a lot of compound exercises while doing my chest push day workout. I do a lot of rowing and pulling variation in my pull day workout, so that is already training my anterior deltoid and posterior deltoid, so I don't need to add in any specific exercise for this if they are not lagging muscle groups. If they are a lagging muscle groups, we can always add in isolation exercise to train our anterior head of the deltoid and the posterior head of the deltoid by adding in front raises. Do it on the cable, do it on dumbbell, amazing exercise. Okay, then we can do the same for the posterior head as well. You can do it on the reverse cable, reverse pec deck fly machine. You can also do it on the cable to get better stimulus, better angles, better fiber recruitment, better, what do you say, alignment of the muscle fibers. So just grab the cables, opposite cables, and just pull it back and down slightly, not at the 0 degrees, slightly 15 to 30 to 45 degrees down. That would align the muscles very well, and that would give you an amazing pump for your rear delts as well. That was about the deltoid. You don't need to complicate deltoid work, my friend. Deltoids would grow very well if you just do your pushing and pulling exercises really well and just add in a lateral raise variation to your workouts. Lateral raise could be done on dumbbells, but majority of the times why I don't recommend doing it on the dumbbells, just standing in front of the dumbbell rack, is because people are just moving a lot while doing the exercise and they are not actually using their deltoids. One thing I would recommend to any beginner would be chest supported lateral raises. So take the bench, put it on 60 to like slightly below like 70-75 degrees, just 1 point below the 90 degree would be straight, 75-70 degrees or slightly down 60 degrees would also be great. Chest supported, body straight, and just raise the arms sideways, not exactly side, not exactly front, but in 45 degrees. That would be the scapular plane. That scapular plane would make sure that you don't use momentum or anything from the rest of the body and target more on the lateral deltoid, which is the thing that we need to develop. Lateral deltoids are amazing muscle group that gives us that shield wala look and makes our upper body slightly wider. That also gives an illusion that your waist is slimmer. Okay, so focus on the lateral deltoids a lot. Okay, lateral deltoids, if you grow them really well, the body would look absolutely different. So lateral raises, amazing exercise. You could do it on cable, you could do it on chest supported on the bench. Both of them are amazing. Okay, apart from that, talking about biceps and triceps, nobody lacks exercise for biceps and triceps, my friend. Now here again we talk about biceps and triceps. Both of them are biarticulate muscle groups. When we talk about biceps and triceps, for both of them we could train them in all the three positions. Okay, passive insufficiency, active insufficiency, and in the straight position. What are these terminologies? Slightly detailed stuff, I would not go into too much of detail, but when the muscle is actively contracted from one end, biarticulate muscle, of course, when an biarticulate muscle is actively contracted from one end and the other end moves, it is called as the muscle is in active insufficiency. Okay, when the muscle is stretched or when the muscle is lengthened, like when we talk about incline dumbbell curls, bicep muscle is already crossing two joints. Okay, the shoulder joint as well as the elbow joint. Here what happens is, when we are doing it on an incline machine where the arm is slightly stretched from the shoulder, the bicep muscle is already getting a stretch here and we are still making it work. This is working in a passive insufficiency. So it is involved in the movement but passively, and the muscle would not. So basic active and passive insufficiency, what would actually happen is, there are multiple muscle groups and the muscle that is stretched, the long head, the bicep brachii muscle, that muscle would not be too active when it is involved at the other end as well. Okay, just like when we talked about the rectus femoris muscle, just like when we talked about the hamstring muscles, just like them, if we want to train the biarticulate muscle really well, we have to stabilize one joint and move it from the other. But if it is lengthened, which means it is in passive insufficiency, or when we are lengthening the muscle group, just like we talked about seated calf raises being better than the lying calf raises, it is because when the muscle is in the lengthened position, it gets a better stimulus. Few researchers have shown this. So when we are doing an incline curl, that would be slightly beneficial for the biceps, but that has also been shown in a research that compared bicep curl with a preacher curl, and also preacher curl with the what you could say, the lower half of the preacher curl to the upper half of the preacher curl. Preacher curl is an exercise where back of our arm is supported and we are just doing a curl like this, that exercise. So the lengthened part gave more hypertrophy benefits when compared to the upper half of the muscle. So they basically concluded that when the muscle is in the lengthened partial or lengthened partials, basically these are called as the lengthened partial repetitions, where we are in a lengthened position and we are just doing partial repetitions. So these give the muscle slightly more than the shortened partial muscles or the full length or full range of motion muscle. So that's why we can always add in length and partial at the end of the sets to get a little extra benefits, but not a lot of research on this. So what I would recommend is to train the bicep and the tricep with 3 exercises. I would give you the 3 exercises. If you felt that the last few minutes were a little more scientific and are going from top of your head, just do these 3 exercises and you will get a full growth for your biceps and your tricep. Exercise number 1 for bicep: incline curls, incline dumbbell curls. You could do it on the cables, you can do it on the dumbbells, both of them are absolutely fine. Second exercise would be preacher curls. Preacher curls, amazing exercise as well. Third exercise, standing straight, go for hammer curls. You could go for hammer curls on an incline machine as well. That will train your bicep brachioradialis muscle very effectively as well. Okay, so these are the 3 exercises I would recommend for biceps. They would grow the biceps amazingly well. Okay, 3 exercises for the triceps. First exercise would be any overhead variation. It could be a cable tricep extension, it would be on machine, it could be on dumbbell, whichever you want, but do it with the arm overhead. Okay, this would train the tricep, long head of the triceps in the stretched or lengthened position to get that extra benefit of the lengthened overload. Okay, so this would be exercise number 1. Exercise number 2 would be the katana tricep extension, it is called, or cross body tricep extension, whatever it is called. But the exercise is very simple. Grab a cable, keep your upper arm locked like this and just move your lower arm from the elbows and you would get an amazing tricep pump over here. And the third variation would be any tricep push down variation, where the arms are slightly in front of the body. All of the 3 positions are covered: passive insufficiency, active insufficiency, and one where the upper joint, the muscle is not involved at one joint and moving at the other. Stable exercises, very easy to overload, very easy to perform, very easy to execute. That's it, my friend. Apart from this, are there any muscle group left? Let me check it out. I've made a small note as well, but I did not check it out. That's it. That's it, my friend. We talked about all of the muscle groups. A little longer episode, my friend, but I hope you learned something new. Let me know in the comments below which of these exercises you did not include in your workout plan, and are there any exercises that are your favorite and I should try them out, or I should include them in my workout plan. If there are any of these, do let me know in the comments below. I am happy and here to help you out, my friend. Hope you learned something new. Hope this episode taught you something new and it was valuable for you, share it with your friends, share it with someone who could benefit from this so we could reach more people. And Vinay here, signing off. Bye.